The exchange rate, obviously, President Trump says they keep the exchange rate too low. Treasury Secretary Bessent warning about that this morning. That's one side of it. And maybe also, sometimes there has been a hint from the administration that China could come and invest here more. That would be seen as a positive. But, we can't go too far down the world of the speculative route because we don't quite yet know what the specific asks are. But one would assume it'll be around trade and investment.
Right.
But as I say, we're not at the negotiating stage yet. We're still in the retaliatory stage.
I am curious to what you guys are hearing there at the D.C. Bureau about what is going on inside the White House when it comes to U.S. and China. I think there was a headline overnight from Reuters about maybe U.S. and China talking today or China planning to talk with the U.S. Do we have any clarity around that or any transparency around that?
I don't think certainly the signals from the White House in terms of the public commentary does not lend itself towards anything meaningful near term in terms of negotiations. As you say, both sides have retaliated. China only yesterday, the US again today. We're still in that tit for tat stage. I mean, that will have to cool down before real talks get going. And I think there's no sign of anything meaningful on that front just yet, Carol.
Okay.
And what are the positions of the United States and China from a bargaining perspective, from a leverage perspective? Take us through what position the U.S. has, how much leverage it has, and how much leverage China has. What's the matchup here?
Well, if you think of it in terms of tariff tennis, it's advantage U.S. in a significant way because the U.S. buys a lot more produce, a lot more stuff from China. So think of the U.S. as being a big customer of China, and now the customer wants to change up things, doesn't want to buy as much, wants to change up the pricing, change up the order book. So there's a lot of levers the US can pull to make things difficult for Chinese manufacturers, exporters, producers, all of that. Now, that doesn't come without cost to the US because the US will have to source
Doesn't see my mic right away.
material from somewhere else. That
See?
will be expensive.
Just wait a
And the
few
stuff that
hours,
you buy
Lee.
from China will be expensive, so there's a hit to the US
What,
there.
me worry?
On the China side,
Why are
obviously
you so
there will be hit to their
worried?
manufacturing base. There will be
Why are
hit
you
to
so
their
upset?
economic activity, no question about it. But China can mix things up a little bit.
Yeah,
They
it's
can
only
start buying more of
reciprocal.
their own produce, something a lot of countries call for anyway. They can start looking for other markets to substitute. So leverage on both sides, but also pain on both sides, and that's why economists warn this. Ultimately, this won't get anyone anywhere.
Hey, I am curious too
Listen
about
to
the
that,
Chinese
Irishman.
economy. President Xi, as you write today, has shown his willingness to gamble with the Chinese economy
Yeah.
in the name of consolidating
Well,
power. I mean, is he
yes and
willing
no.
to gamble a lot here because we know exports, Chinese exports, and selling to the world is crucial to that economy?
Well, he's probably willing to take a stand against the US. That's no question about it, and he's showing that so far.
Hi,
I think it's a
Val.
question
How are
of how
you?
much pain
We're
can
just
the
waiting for a
economy
hearing to start.
withstand. How long will this trade
Hi,
war go
Haggard.
on?
Hi, Badger. Hi, Oomph. Hi,
When or will
Easley.
there
Hi,
be an
Lee.
off-ramp? And then also this
Was just reading
diversification
about
point I made
changes
earlier.
paid
Can
at
China
FDIC.
meaningfully look for other markets? Can they buy more of their stuff at home? Those are the questions. So China still has some cards up its sleeve as well. It won't be all one-way traffic, but as I say, both economies will feel an impact from this, Carol.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Hey, Enda, thank you so much. So appreciate it. Enda Curran there in.
Thank you. Thank you, Endo Curran. Here we go. Well, wait, where's that story I had about? I just had a New York Times story about the rollback. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't know when people are going to get hit by like the basically the tariffs on stuff or the levies coming in from Chinese goods from like Temu or whatever people buy from, Shein, whatever. They're going to be fucked. It's going to cost so much money. There goes fast fashion. I mean, not that I'm sad about fast fashion leaving the planet. Believe me, I'm fine with it. But this is really okay. All right. I'm going to read this. Hey, wait a minute. I don't want that. Hold on. I'm going to read this. Hold on. Okay. Yikes. he didn't really back down. So let's not give him too much credit. So what happened was this. Oh shit. Here we go. Here's what happened. All right. So there's been a bounce back in the market, but I was just listening to someone on Bloomberg, and she's very good. She's the equities editor at Bloomberg, and very, very smart lady. Can't remember her name right now. Anyway, what she was saying is, I'm still as concerned as I was because there is,
maybe even make it better, but
because
using
there
technology
are,
to deal with those cost drivers. And I know sometimes that makes people very uncomfortable, but there was also a time that going to Blockbuster Video was the family ritual on Fridays.
Okay,
and
anyway.
today you hit a button. So now I'd like to
It's a
introduce
mess.
our distinguished witnesses.
it's a mess.
You all get to be
It's a
distinguished.
mess.
Dr. Sterling Thomas is the chief
It's a
scientist
mess.
at the
The
Government
market is
Accountability Office. He leads
taking
the
some-
work conducted by GAO Scientist Technology Assessment and Analytics
All right,
team,
sorry.
which provides information to Congress on emerging technologies and their application in government. Prior to his appointment at the
Oh, wait,
GAO,
sorry. Oh, my God.
Dr.
I didn't
Thomas
even
served
realize.
as chief scientist at
Sorry, hold on.
Nobis, a nonprofit research institute
Sure it is.
where he applied machine learning and artificial intelligence to his research on synthetic biology. Okay, you already realize you just like doubled the IQ of.
Oh my God. You know what?
Dr.
That
Brian
plant
Miller
in the
is
corner
a
doubled your
practicing
IQ,
hospitalist
Schweikert.
And professor of medicine and business at Johns Hopkins, and somewhat of a friend. Dr. Miller is also a non-resident fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, where he researches and focuses on healthcare competition, FDA policy, public health, and integration of AI into the healthcare system. The doctor is head of AI policy at the Abundance Institute.
Do you not know your
Oh,
script?
sorry. Did I just, forgive me. Is it called the Abundance Institute? His research focuses on how artificial intelligence can be used to maximize innovation and advance human interest. Previously, he was
improve
chief
government. I'm
technologist
sorry.
at the Federal Trade Commission, where his work focused on economics of data privacy and blockchain. We should talk. I worked on blockchain before coming to this. Now I'd like to turn over to the ranking member
Really?
to introduce the Democrat witness.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And after I introduce the witness, I have a couple of opening remarks, if that makes sense.
Why don't you go straight to opening remarks, because you may get stressed with having to vote on.
Okay, and then I will introduce Mr. Canarsa. So I just really want to thank you for calling today's hearing on a really important topic, and to your point, a topic that has a lot of bipartisan interest and a lot of bipartisan potential. As this is the first JEC hearing this Congress, I also want to say how much I look forward to working with you, Mr. Chairman, in your new role as chair of the committee and my new role as ranking member. I really look forward to working together, and I've appreciated our conversations so far. And I'm glad we're starting out with a topic that we can find some real common ground on, cutting waste, fraud, and abuse through the use of innovation. I also want to thank the four witnesses for testifying before the committee and sharing your expertise on this topic. We need to keep working together across the aisle to save taxpayer dollars by reducing waste, fraud, and abuse. As we will discuss in today's hearing, there are many ways to do so by embracing new technologies and better data analytics. These types of tools can help an investigator identify potential fraud or a caseworker streamline an application process. I know that all four of our witnesses today will outline ways that the government can better deploy technology. I really look forward to building off these ideas moving forward. Before we get to the introduction of our witness, though, I do want to just note my serious concerns with the reckless action so far of Elon Musk and Doge. Whether the government is providing health care for veterans, Social Security checks for seniors, or loans for small businesses, we should continually strive to improve the taxpayer experience. But Mr. Musk's slash and burn tactics are doing the opposite. In addition, I want to bring the committee's attention to the fact that the administration's decision to fire 17 inspectors general who investigate fraud, that's what they do, is completely counterproductive to the goal of improving government efficiency. I firmly believe that we should be cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, and that we can do so without making life harder for children, families, and seniors all across our country. I hope that conversations, including the one we will have this afternoon, can help us chart a better path forward. So again, I thank you, Mr. Chair, and to our witnesses for agreeing to testify today. Happy to proceed with the introduction. Mr. Andrew Canarsa is the Executive Director of the Council of the Inspectors General on Integrity and Efficiency. That's an independent part of the executive branch focused on supporting the work of Inspectors General. Prior to his current role, Mr. Canarsa served in the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General from 2009 to 2023. Welcome, Mr. Canarsa. I really look forward to your testimony, as I do the testimony of all our witnesses.
Thank you, Senator. And please don't be discombobulated if you see members popping up and popping down. It is the nature of being here during a fairly chaotic time. Dr. Thomas, please, 5 minutes, educate us.
All right. Chairman Schweikert, Ranking Member Hassan, and members of the committee, thank you for inviting me to participate today in today's hearing to discuss how AI can be used to reduce fraud and improper waste, fraud, and improper payments. As GAO's chief scientist and throughout my career in industry, in academia, and in the intelligence community, I've seen great advancements in data science. These innovations offer exciting opportunities to improve government efficiency. As you know, GAO is the nonpartisan watchdog for Congress. We have expanded our science technology team in recent years, and it includes a team of data scientists. We know firsthand from their work that AI holds great promise in furthering GAO's mission and your goal of safeguarding taxpayer dollars. My aim today is to offer 3 important actions that will help us reach that goal. First, we must continue and augment our traditional anti-fraud efforts. Second, we must apply AI thoughtfully and ensure that we use quality data to mitigate its well-known risks. And third, we must ensure that the federal workforce has the skills they need to apply new innovations like AI. Regarding my first point, GAO has a large body of work on fraud and improper payments in the federal government. Last month, one of my colleagues testified before House Appropriations on this topic. The federal government reported an estimated $162 billion in payment errors or improper payments during fiscal year 2024, and that is almost certainly an underestimate. We have outlined numerous ways that Congress and federal agencies can tackle this problem with existing capabilities. For example, Congress could make permanent the Social Security Administration's authority to share its death list with Treasury's do not pay system. These traditional methods are routinely preventing and detecting fraud. By enhancing them, we can save taxpayer dollars today.
How much fraud is that? How much fraud is death fraud?
But on my second
I really want to know.
I am optimistic
I wanna
about
know.
innovation, but we must be thoughtful.
I want to know.
In data science, we often say garbage in, garbage out. Nowhere is that more true than with AI and machine learning. If we start trying to identify fraud and improper payments with so-so data, we're going to get so-so results. Broad use AI is still at early stages of development and implementation, and rapid deployment without thoughtful design has led already to unintended consequences. Before pouring data science on the problem, we need solid, reliable, ground truth data and a human in the loop to ensure data reliability and application of this technology. GAO has an AI accountability framework which lays out these and other principles. One piece of advice that emerges from such principles is to find a solution that produces the desired result with the least complexity. For example, in response to our recommendation, the Small Business Administration screened all PPP or Paycheck Protection Program loans made before September 20 with a rules-based tool. It was just looking for indicators. It wasn't using AI. And they still identified $4.7 billion in loans that went to ineligible recipients or were used for unauthorized purposes. And those loans were not forgiven. To build on that
Were they all
success,
Steve
we need more
Mnuchin's?
innovation in government. In 2022, we recommended that one way to do that. Congress could establish a permanent analytics center of excellence to unlock tools that more efficiently identify and prevent fraud and improper payments. My final point is that harnessing innovation also requires a federal workforce that has the right skills. But agencies continue to face barriers in hiring, managing, and retaining staff with advanced technical skills. This is another area where GAO has made recommendations. And we have explored innovative big picture ideas like
We made
establishing a
recommendations to the
digital
GAO,
services
but they were all fired.
Rapid advances in AI capabilities hold great promise. GAO believes that the federal government can and must simultaneously realize those opportunities and do so upon a firm foundation of reliable data and a digitally skilled workforce. Chairman Schweikert and Ranking Member Hassan and members of the committee, thank you, and I'd be happy to respond to any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Dr. Miller.
Chairman Schweikert, Vice Chairman Schmidt, and distinguished members of the committee, thank you for allowing me to join you and share my views on how AI and technology can improve government efficiency and reduce fraud, waste, and abuse. I'm going to focus on operational solutions targeting the Medicare and Medicaid programs, recognizing that these comprise over $1.5 trillion in annual
They're
spending.
here.
I should note that today I'm here in my personal capacity, and the views expressed are my own and don't necessarily reflect those of Johns Hopkins University, the American Enterprise Institute, the Medicare Payment Advisory Commission, or the North Carolina State Health Plan. That aside,
Wow, you lobby for
ethos of
everybody.
DOGE, asking questions, re-engineering processes, these are things that we need to do definitely in government health programs. So there are three areas that I think that we should focus on. The first is Medicaid improper payments. In 2020, we had the global pandemic, tens of thousands of people were dying every day, and Congress implemented continuous Medicaid coverage, thinking that, if you're going to potentially have COVID and need hospitalization, coverage shouldn't be the issue. In 2023, states started redetermination for 20 million beneficiaries. CMS noted in 2022 that 76% of improper payments were due to eligibility. That's $61 billion a year. Now, I looked this up, and Medicaid eligibility requirements are codified in statute with little discretion. So if you think about it, redetermination, and then on the other side, initial eligibility assessments are two sides of the same process. We should actually look to automate benefits eligibility. We might have to have human review first, followed by an auditing period, and then a move towards fully autonomous review. With the simple principle being, if you're entitled to Medicaid benefits, you should be able to get them. And if you are not entitled to Medicaid benefits, you should not be on Medicaid.
But who's deciding that, you stupid
Second area I'd
fucking
focus on
cuck?
is Medicare Advantage diagnosis coding, which I think we've all seen the Wall Street Journal articles.
Where are you going to get your
Large
Viagra?
plethora of news about this marketplace. So if you think
Zoptig.
about it, in fee-for-service Medicare, it's like running a pizza shop. You're paid if you make more
Fucking hate
pizzas.
this
If you make
guy.
a slightly
I'm sorry,
fancier
butterflies.
pizza, you're also paid a little bit more. In Medicare Advantage, it's a bit different. You get risk-adjusted capitated payment or a population-based payment with the risk adjustment from diagnosis coding. That way, if plans take care of sick people, they get paid more. If they take care of healthier people, they get paid less. It's no surprise that across these two programs that coding intensity is different. Coding intensity has three components. One is fraudulent coding. The DOJ picks you up in a black car and takes you to jail. Two is upcoding.
What?
Subject to debate, but likely a no. And the third is sort of clinically appropriate coding intensity, better communication about diagnostic specificity or severity. So we've sort of studied this problem for 2 decades. You can pick your favorite health policy analyst, economist, actuary, committee, or commission, and you can get different numbers. No one has measured those three components. The research has shown that it varies across plans. I would argue that if we have predictive typing and autocorrect on our iPhones, we can automate diagnosis coding across the Medicare program. Do we want doctors spending time with patients, or do we want them doing diagnosis coding for whether you have CKD, chronic kidney disease, stage 3A or 3B? I think we can all agree that we want doctors taking care of patients. And so if we automate that, we will eliminate coding
What's
disparities
the error
across
rate
both
on the
programs,
automation? Hi,
increase
Jay.
trust, eliminate the need for chart reviews and health risk
Yeah, we could stuff
assessments,
you
and eliminate
in
the
a hole.
wastage of both physician times and government payments. And so I would say that for Medicare Advantage, we should focus on solving problems for Americans instead of measuring them. And then the last area I want to talk about is prior authorizations. We spend an estimated $265 billion in the healthcare industry on administrative costs. Depending upon who you ask, prior authorization can be an appropriate tool to
It's horrid.
steer care, or it can be an inappropriate tool to
It's a
delay
barrier.
care, increase cost, decrease access. And you'll
It's
have
a barrier.
you'll have stakeholders on either side showing up, telling
Yeah,
you one
Medicare
thing or
Advantage
the
is a
other.
scam. Hi, Oren.
We've also talked about this for probably longer than I have been alive. So I would say that we should start with process reform, fix the
SW
process. So let's put the fax machine lobby out of their misery. Same for PDF submission, et cetera. We should use CMS and ONC to drive automation of data submission and have it be built directly into electronic health records. So I think we have a lot of opportunity to practically make government more efficient, reduce
Having
waste,
a day.
and also
Oh,
make the
babe,
delivery
I'm sorry.
system better. And thank you for the time.
I hope there's something pleasant to look forward to.
Chairman Schweikert, distinguished members of the Joint Economic Committee. Thanks for the opportunity to be here to discuss how artificial intelligence can transform government efficiency. America leads the world in advanced AI technologies. Private companies are rapidly deploying these tools to boost productivity and eliminate waste. But our government is only beginning to tap their potential.
It's true.
Of the
I mean, but it's still,
2,100 AI use cases identified in January of
There's
this year
people that
across
shouldn't be
41
paying for
U.S.
it.
federal agencies, I could only identify 17
Everybody should just
operational
get it.
systems that directly target fraud, waste, and abuse. And most of these are on a small scale. This represents both a challenge and an
Trader
extraordinary
Joe's, that's fun.
opportunity. The Trump administration has recognized this. Just last week, the Office of Management and Budget issued 2 detailed memos that highlight these benefits and set forth a path both for federal government use and the procurement of AI
No, it's definitely a lower
technologies.
premium.
Consider the staggering
yeah.
costs of fraud. We've already heard some of these numbers, and the federal
Electronic
agencies reported
records under the control of
$162 billion
Palantir. Oh my God,
in
Lee.
improper payments last year alone
Oh my
across
God.
68 programs, with Medicare and Medicaid accounting for $85 billion of that. And GAO has
XAI.
estimated in the past that
XAI,
an annual
actually.
fraud loss of potentially as high as
Or Salesforce.
$521 billion. That's potentially $500 billion of taxpayer money each year that never reach its intended purpose.
Well,
AI
on that
technologies
note,
offer some powerful solutions.
time for
we
some
hear a lot
weed.
about large language models and chatbots, but I'll talk about a few specific tools that I think have great application here, and then 2 specific areas in which 2 broad areas.
Those
of government,
filters that
in
make you
which
look
they
like
have
you had a
some
glam up.
applicability. Again, the point here is that these are well deployed in the private sector and could be
Hell yeah.
used in the government. So anomaly detection is
Oh
a
my
technology
God.
that allows you to quickly
Email
spot
5
unusual
things? Oh
activities
my
by
God,
learning
Oren.
what constitute normal behavior and then identifying abnormal behavior.
Yeah,
Financial
better premium
institutions
for
like
drug coverage, but
HSBC
narrow
have found that
networks.
this
Yeah.
approach identifies 2 to 4 times more financial crime with 60% fewer false positives. Natural language processing,
Yeah,
of
I
which
have a
LLMs
feeling
are,
Salesforce
one
is
type of application, can digest mountains
a
of
little bit
text documents,
complicit.
emails, and support tickets far
I'm sure,
faster
I'm
than
sure
humans.
Benioff will find a
This
way.
technology can streamline compliance, enhance customer service, and can reveal fraud that's hidden in mass amounts of text. Robotic process automation uses software bots
can
to
find
handle
fraud
routine tasks.
Based on
It
whose
often is used to
definition?
connect legacy systems, of which obviously government institutions have many. And businesses that implement this see an average efficiency gain of up to 30% while reducing processing errors by 20 to 40%. And then finally, the last category of technology, although there's
It's like
many
the
others,
laziest management
graph
I've ever
analytics
seen, you know?
map
Send me
relationships
5
that
things you
entities
did.
have across a bunch of different systems. And so insurers right now use graph analytics to identify fraud rings and coordinated abuse that you could not find if you were only looking a single system at a time. So these technologies offer tremendous potential across government, but let me give you 2
And
critical
potential
areas where I think
downsides
they
for
could
misuse
offer some real
and
specific benefits.
Errors
So in
in
benefits
programming.
administration, obviously I mentioned Medicare and Medicaid, but many other areas of benefits. AI can swiftly identify fraudulent claims while speeding
Mark
service to
Benioff.
legitimate beneficiaries. They can verify documentation,
Benioff.
automate eligibility verification, and help agencies
Mark
forecast their
Benioff.
needs to optimize resource allocation.
I used to think he was a decent guy.
Then in
I don't
procurement
know.
and
He
contracting,
he
these
also
tools
owns
can
Time
flag
Magazine.
high-risk vendors and contracts before the money goes out the door.
Yeah.
They can detect
What can you
vendor
do to
collusion,
explain your job to a
and they
19-year-old?
can
He'll
automate
decide if it's
repetitive
important to
procurement
veterans. Oh my
tasks,
God, Oren.
streamlining these functions both for the
Wow.
contractors and the government agencies that rely on them. Now, the path forward here is going to require updating some legacy systems, safeguarding data privacy, and addressing some important policy
Oh,
considerations.
really, Mr. Chilson?
But the
Have you
potential
met
benefits
Big
are
Balls?
profound. And that's why when I look at AI's capabilities in this space, I don't see just a futuristic vision. I see there's practical, proven technologies that are already
Well, God, I
transforming
hope so.
private industry that could immediately strengthen government operations.
Yeah, Mark Benioff.
Implementing these solutions means ensuring public
he
funds
founded
reach their intended
Salesforce.
purposes. It means faster, more transparent services
Yeah, he used
for
to be a pretty
citizens.
decent
It
guy.
means substantial
I
savings
don't know.
that could be
and
redirected
I guess no
to
one
higher
is
priority
really.
needs or returned
But
to taxpayers.
he's I
The
don't know.
question
I'm
before
troubled.
us is not whether AI can improve government
Troubled by
efficiency. The
Salesforce.
evidence
I don't
from
know
the
what
private sector
Salesforce is being
overwhelming
used
that
for if
can.
it
The
is.
question is whether we have the vision and the commitment to embrace these innovations.
I'd be curious
for
to
the
see where
benefit of all
Benioff
Americans.
is at these days. He
Thank you,
did
and I
give
look forward
Man
to
of
your
the Year
questions.
to Trump, so yeah.
Good afternoon, Chairman Schweikert, Ranking Member Hassan, and members of the committee. Thank you
Used
for
to be
inviting
big in
me
the
to
San
discuss
Francisco
how
social
technology
scene
can
when I was
improve
doing
government
fundraising.
efficiency and reduce waste, fraud, and abuse.
Nice
I
guy,
serve as
but
the Executive Director for the Council
I
of
don't
the
know if he's
Inspectors
a
General on
MAGA.
Integrity and Efficiency, or SIGI, the membership organization for more than 70 federal IGs. The
haven't
IG
really
community
followed
has a
other
nearly
than
50-year history of conducting effective government oversight
Yeah.
and detecting and preventing waste, fraud, and abuse. The Inspector General Act of
equals experience and
1978
expertise.
established
Right,
IGs
exactly.
and empowered them to provide independent, objective, and impartial oversight of agency programs and operations.
God, these guys
IGs
all
have a
look
dual
alike.
reporting responsibility, reporting to both their agency head
I can't tell
and to
which one.
Congress.
They're all Ken dolls.
We have a long-standing
Where's a
relationship
Ken
with
doll?
Congress and a shared goal of ensuring that taxpayer
Well, I
dollars
guess
are
we could
spent
use the
wisely and effectively, and that
Thunder
government
guy.
benefits are administered correctly. IG findings are based on facts and applicable law and guided by OIG standards.
Although he
Trained
kind of looks like
auditors,
this guy.
investigators, inspectors, evaluators,
Like, they all
IT
look like that
specialists,
guy.
and attorneys work every
That's
day
Brandon
to promote
Gill,
efficient and effective government operations.
Representative. That's Danielle
In fiscal
D'Souza.
year
That's Dinesh
2024,
D'Souza's
the IG
spawn.
community collectively totaled
Married to a
over $71
congressman.
billion in audit and investigative
fact.
accomplishments,
AI ate my
generating a
homework.
return of about $18 for every $1 invested in OIGs. For the government to see the full value of this oversight, agencies must take action to resolve OIG recommendations. There are currently over 14,000 unimplemented OIG
Brock
recommendations.
says Benioff
many
is
of
known
them
for
related to
being
improper
vocal
payments.
on social and
If
political
implemented,
issues,
such
including
actions would
advocating
improve
for
payment
equality.
integrity
Yeah.
across dozens of federal programs.
Environmental
For
sustainability and fair
example, the Department of
compensation.
Labor
I agree
OIG
with all of those
identified over
things. I'm
$45
just
billion in
wondering.
potentially fraudulent pandemic unemployment benefits, and the OIG has engaged
I
the
haven't
department
heard
in
anything
resolving
other
these
than
high-risk
Time
payments.
Magazine making
However,
Trump
there
the
are
man
still
of the
outstanding
year.
recommendations in this area. While all fraud is an improper payment, not all improper payments are
So
fraudulent.
Mark, you have some things to
Other
say.
common causes include
You have some
administrative
shit to come
mistakes,
forward on.
recipient self-reporting issues, and policy
Prove you're not
limitations.
one of the bros.
For instance, the Social Security Administration,
something.
OIG, estimated over $7 billion in supplemental security income errors.
I mean, that's
because
how I always
SSA
remembered
did
him.
not follow policies or use all available tools.
But
to
now I
prevent,
don't have
detect,
any
and recover
confidence that
overpayments.
any of those bros
SSA
aren't
OIG
like
has made
completely
several
lizard people under their
recommendations to reduce
skin.
and collect the overpayments, but the recommendations have not yet been resolved.
Like they're wearing red hats
The
under
use
their
of technology
skin.
is critical to the IG community's oversight work, and IGs have significant experience
I'm
leveraging
sorry,
data
Teresa.
analytics and artificial intelligence.
God, useless.
While these tools do not replace investigative or audit
That's
work,
the thing,
they
Jay.
enhance
Anybody could be
IG's
MAGA
ability
now.
to identify anomalies for further review. Last
I
year,
don't
the
know.
Treasury
Don't
Inspector
throw him
General
a
for
big
Tax
party about his
Administration
fucking
leveraged data
magazine
analytics
cover. Maybe
to
do
help the
that,
IRS
Mark,
prevent
and then I'll believe that
$3.5
you're not
billion
the asshole
in
I think you
potentially
might be.
improper employee retention credits and sick and family leave credits. To notified IRS officials of the scheme, who then put controls in place to guard against similar fraudulent claims. The Postal Service OIG uses data-driven insights to analyze millions of customer complaints to recognize trends and identify potential mail delivery or theft issues. And the Office of Personnel
Does that mean
Management OIG
Mima
is
doesn't get her
using
medicine
machine
and she
learning
dies,
to inform
Junior?
which health plans the OIG should audit in the Federal Employee Health Benefits Program.
Why
To
don't you
continue
test it
our
on the
effective
Congress
oversight
people
efforts
first, and then
improve
we'll
payment
deal with it.
integrity, sustained access to agency data and
You
analytics
first.
resources are critical.
You first, Mr.
The
Canarsa.
IG community's top legislative priority is the establishment of a permanent, scalable data analytics platform to aid OIGs in detecting and preventing fraud and improper payments. In 2021, Congress provided SIGI's Pandemic Response Accountability Committee, or the PRAC, with the authority and funding to create a data analytics center. The result was the Pandemic Analytics Center for Excellence, or the PACE. The PACE
Wow,
has
we're really
proven to
good
be
at creating
successful in
things.
identifying improper payments and fraud in pandemic programs. In one recent case, the PACE helped an OIG develop risk models to review some 2,400 pension plans, which led to the recovery of over $165 million. This recovery for taxpayers far exceeds the $120 million that Congress appropriated for the PRAC to operate for the last 5 years. However, with the PRAC scheduled to
what we didn't
sunset
do
on
last
September
time? We
30th,
did this morning.
2025, the IG
We
community
haven't
urges
did this
Congress
morning.
to sustain the PRAC and the PACE's data analytics capabilities. Last month, the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform advanced legislation to sustain the PRAC and its capabilities, which we support. We look forward to working with Congress on this important reform to ensure the IG community is equipped with advanced technology and data analytics tools. In conclusion, the federal IG community remains committed to conducting effective program oversight, making recommendations that can
just woke
improve
up, sir.
government
What are you
efficiency,
saying? What'd
and
you say?
leveraging analytics and AI-supported tools
Every
in its efforts.
GOP regulation is a
Thank you again
jobs
for inviting
program
me
to
to
deny
testify, and I'm
services
happy
to
to
the
answer
poor
any
and
questions.
disabled. Yep.
Thank you for all of you.
That's right, Oren.
Because I have hours of questions, I'm going to go at the very end. Senator Schmidt, you get to start with questions.
Sounds terrible.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this this hearing. I think some of the recent findings from DOGE, I think, has put this even more up front in the public consciousness. And there's a lot of great work that's happened before. And I'm not going to go through. I was going to talk about, you know, the money that's sent overseas for Guatemalan sex changes and DEI in Burma, but I've done floor speeches about that. I really want to use the time that I have with asking some questions that I can't imagine there's a ton of disagreement as far as trying to understand how we're at where we're at. So, Dr. Miller, you brought this up in the healthcare space. I think one of the great frustrations for policymakers is that it just the enormity of some of the problems that exist are so huge that sometimes I think that inhibits people's ability to tackle them effectively. What do you think? So you've had some great recommendations about some things that could happen, and whether it's coding or finding fraud on the front end or the back end in a much more meaningful way. It feels like, as you said, you've been having this discussion longer than you've been alive. I can relate to that. What is missing? Like, we know what the problem is. Recommendations are made, and I want to ask you this question too. What's the disconnect? Like, how are the controls not actually put in place? How does this keep happening? Why isn't, and DOGE, anyway, I'm going to stop talking and let you answer the
I don't
question.
even know what you asked.
So 2 reasons. One is whether it's fraud or an improper payment, that's someone's revenue, and that person who has revenue doesn't like it when you take their revenue away. So that's a political issue. After that, there's the operational issue, which is often we measure the problem, we issue a nice report, write a nice paper, and then we don't get the agency wheels going to address it. So we need to have oversight, public attention.
Okay, this
and
sounds like
energy
project
directed at
management
getting the
challenges
agencies
for
to
you and your
execute
staffers.
an operational plan. If they
Okay,
don't have an
that's what it
operational
sounds
plan,
like to me.
Have an operational plan.
I know.
For example, we know that
Where is
there's
it?
often fraud in procedures, and if a procedure
This is
takes
what- oh,
2 hours
where's
and
the
you build
robot?
20 of them in a day, it's clearly not possible. We should have prepayment claims editing in Medicare and Medicaid to prevent that from happening. We don't. So I would say aggressive and assertive oversight over agencies for what are the operational steps that they're going to do, and then continued oversight to make sure that they execute on those steps.
So are AI, because it's subject to the hearing, are AI tools being used currently outside of DOGE, right? Because they're looking under the hood. Are those sort of tools being used effectively currently in these agencies?
I would say no.
Right, that's, I think, the right answer. I wanted to ask you, so you've also talked about instances where recommendations were made. In some, like the PACE sort of oversight, you talked about how that was effective. Maybe that's the model, I don't know exactly, but what is the disconnect? Is it that Congress isn't calling these people in enough? Is it that if it's not, there's not a point person within the agencies that are actually responsible for this? How would you diagnose the problem to be able to fix?
I think Dr. Miller said it well, that there's a plethora of information out there. There's recommendations that agencies can implement, and where Congress can help is increasing transparency and visibility of those recommendations and talking directly to the agency. You know, what's prohibiting you from implementing it? Is it a resource issue? Is it a time issue? Is it a need to continue customer service and it's just trying to implement these implementations is holding us back? I think the information is there. It's understanding what's holding the agency back.
Are there any other, I mean, obviously there's the power of the purse and there's the appropriations process. Are there any other, as you guys have found, any of you, are there any other hammers that are out there that would actually hold some of these folks?
Danger, Will Robinson. Wait, let's try it.
I might flag something quickly from the OMB guidance that just came out last week. One of the things that they recommend on AI implementation within agencies is that the responsibility for addressing and owning the risk be on the person who is responsible for the mission of the process that AI is being deployed for. And so that type
Does the
of
sick
personal
person get any
accountability
say
where
in
there
this?
has to
I don't
be
know. I'm just
somebody actually signing off and owning the decision, I think is the sort of thing that keeps new technologies.
I know.
that are coming
I
in,
have that clip. I have the
under
clip,
right
Jay.
amount of scrutiny and analysis.
I have
And
the clip. I'll play
I
it.
don't know that how you retrofit that, but for new technologies, I think that's a good approach.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and again, thank you all for your testimony. I caught most of Mr. Canarsa's, and I'm sorry I missed yours, but I want to start with a few questions. Mr. Canarsa, inspectors general play a key role in identifying and rooting out fraud across the federal government. As part of their efforts, they often encounter barriers when they try to work together across agencies and share data that could prevent fraud. For instance, an inspector general at one agency might not have the staff or time needed to access data on fraud that's stored at multiple other agencies. I know that your organization wants to establish some centralized data analytics capacity that the investigators could use to further detect and prevent fraud across the government. So this is a two-part question. One, what are some of the most promising examples of how inspectors general are already sharing data to prevent fraud, such as by working together to stop criminals who have multiple shell companies that have been defrauding our small business loan programs?
That made me creeped me out.
Why don't we start with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you for the question. And Senator Hassan, I wanted to thank you for working with Senator Joni Ernst on the IG Senate caucus. We appreciate your efforts and look forward to working with you both on that. To the question, several examples going back to the start of the pandemic, and want to give credit to the Small Business Administration OIG and Department of Labor OIG, who had oversight over the PPP and the EIDL programs, and then the Pandemic Unemployment Insurance Program, which obviously at that time it was a need for those funds to go out at the time,
right?
But it left it ripe for fraud. And where the PRAC came in and helped was to identify a lot of those suspicious claims that were clustered. And
the poor buggy whip manufacturers. That's a really good one.
Putting in multiple claims, because they saw some go through, so they kept going for them. In both instances, both SBA OIG and DOL OIG have successful fraud investigations to the tune of millions of dollars that were found.
Val. Oh my God. I know that that has caused me so many breakdowns trying to get prior authorizations and all this shit.
That sort of cooperation.
Just when I move, just to keep my medicines.
Protecting people's privacy.
Oh my God.
I think, as I mentioned,
Nightmare.
Expanding and enhancing the potential of the PRAC's pace.
Thanks, Obama.
If we can do what they've shown in just the pandemic realm programs, if we can do that across federal programs, make it easier for, as you mentioned, for agencies and their OIGs to match in a central location, again, with all privacy protections and considerations in place, that just makes it easier to go to one stop instead of each agency trying to make these agreements one-off.
Right. And in my experience as a governor, one of the hard things is finding actual staff and resources to focus on this, so that if we can share in the effort, makes a big difference. Dr. Thomas, Your position as the
I wonder
chief
if they ever
scientist
do
of the
half the
Government
stuff they talk
Accountability
about.
Office
Oh, it'd be
gives you a
great
good
if we did
vantage
this.
point to see how the
They
federal
ever do
government
it?
deploys technology, especially when it comes to strengthening government effectiveness and
Suppose they do.
saving taxpayer dollars. What are areas of the government that have the highest potential for reducing waste, fraud, and abuse through the deployment
Oh
of
my
cutting-edge
God, Lee,
technology,
when I lived in the
including
UK,
AI?
I had an NHS card after 30 days of work,
Yeah, so if
had
you look at
treatment for eye infection
government-wide,
and
fraud report that we
£3
just put out,
payment
we
for
talk
eye
about
drops.
the different programs that, there's a range that goes with it. So I think as earlier as mentioned, it's $500 billion. That's the high
can't
range.
we
Those are
do
for
it?
high-risk programs. Think
the
about like
problem?
COVID-style programs.
Well, I know why we can't do
The
it
lower
now,
range
but
is really analyzing the lower risk programs. We did a modeling exercise using Monte Carlo to understand what that range looks like. Essentially, what it comes down to, additional transparency, obviously within the payment systems, and making sure that the agencies are using
casino?
analytics and sharing the use of that analytics, as well as what has already been talked about earlier that we support is setting up a center of excellence that supports the fraud world, so that across the government, all of these agencies can work together, can share data that matters, and share tools that identify those flags of potential
you're telling
fraud.
me that there's not
The important
already
part,
an
though, that I wanna make
entity
sure we
within the
don't
federal
miss
government
is
that
the
has that
analysts play a
ability?
critical role.
Yeah.
The analytics
After
only
250
identifies a
years?
flag that something might be associated with fraud. It is the analysts themselves that actually goes and does the investigation.
Right, that's very helpful. I have lots more questions too, but why don't I yield back and then we can keep going. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you all for being here today. I wanted to point out that in my district, we're experiencing a real problem with Treasury checks being stolen.
This is
And
Maliotakis.
obviously, this is not
From New
something that's
York.
unique to my district.
I think
although
she's
it's been
upstate
heavily
New York,
impacted.
if I'm not
As
mistaken.
you've
Am I wrong about
mentioned,
that?
The GAO estimates a
feel
total
like
of
she is.
$162 billion in improper payments in fiscal year 2025 and more than $2.8 trillion since 2003. So you have the
Since
issue of
2003.
improper.
Girl, are you kidding me right now? 22 years? You think you're going to use a big ass number because of 22 years? Well, I'll tell you what, Nicole, I'm not going to listen to what you say. I don't care. You are fraud, waste, and abuse. What I want to do is show you what Teresa sent me, which will be much more uplifting.
Been paused?
I am, yes.
Mr. Trade Representative, are you aware that the tariffs have been paused?
I am, yes.
When were you made aware of that?
Well, I understood the decision was made a few minutes ago. It's something
Sitting
that's
here,
been under discussion.
Sitting here under discussion. So did you know that that this was under discussion, and why did you not include that as part of your opening remarks?
So typically what I don't do is divulge the contents of my discussions with
What are the
President
details of the pause?
Well, my understanding is that because so many countries have decided not to retaliate, we're going to have about 90 days.
Oh, give me a break.
Excuse me? China increased their tariffs on the United States. Trump blinked.
What's the blink, sir?
What do you know about this pause? What are the details of it?
Well, the details, as I understand it, is that China continues to retaliate. Other countries didn't retaliate. The president 2 or 3 days ago said we wanted to negotiate with those countries that asked for meetings. That's what we're doing.
What are the
We've had
details?
discussions.
How long is the pause? How many days? How many weeks?
I understand it's 90 days. I haven't spoken to the president since I've
So
been
the
in this
trade
hearing.
representative hasn't spoken to the president of the United States about a global reordering of trade.
Yes, I have. I've
And
just
yet
been in the hearing with you, sir.
But yet he announced it on a tweet. WTF? Who's in charge?
The president of the United States is in charge.
And what do you know about those details?
Well, as I mentioned,
It looks like your boss just pulled the rug out from under you and paused the tariffs, the taxes on the American people. There's no strategy. You just found out 3 seconds ago, sitting here, we saw you.
we've been discussing a
If
variety
you
of
came here knowing that you were going to be turned off, that these tariffs were going to be turned off, why didn't you include that in your opening statement? Why didn't you reference that as part of your testimony?
Well, I don't disclose my conversations with the president, sir.
These were specific questions we asked you all along. What's the strategy? These are real consequences for the American people and small businesses. I had a group of small businesses in my office earlier today talking about the impacts of these tariffs on aluminum and steel. This is amateur hour, and it needs to stop. What does this even mean for your negotiating strategy? How are you in charge of negotiation if the president is tweeting about this from wherever the hell he is?
The president was elected, and he runs the trade policy, and I advise him and execute his
Who
trade
executes
policy.
the trade policy?
I execute the trade
Did you
policy.
know
for the president.
that this was happening?
We have been discussing all kinds of...
And there's another member of the cabinet, Bessent, who just canceled coming to the Hill to avoid talking about the market because it's in turmoil. This in just days, because there was no strategy, there was no plan. The president chose to take actions that he didn't even have the authority to take. He's put our economy in disarray and near collapse. We have small businesses and Americans who are concerned about their well-being, people's retirement, people's 529 accounts went down because of this administration. We have people that are planning to send their kids to college this fall. People who are retiring whose benefits have declined. Is this market manipulation?
No.
Yes.
Why not?
Yes,
if it was a plan, if it was always the plan, how is this not market manipulation?
It's market manipulation.
It's not market manipulation.
Oh.
Well, then what is it? Because it sure is not a strategy.
We're trying to reset the global trade system.
You're-
That's offshored all of our factories.
And what has that done?
Offshored all of
How
our
have you
jobs.
done? How have you achieved any of that? But to enact enormous harm on the American people, which was our concern from the very beginning. Tariffs are a tool. It can be used in the appropriate way to protect U.S. jobs and small businesses. But that's not what this does. So if it's not market manipulation, what is it? Who's benefiting? What billionaire just got richer? And all the while, there are not even any Republicans left in this hearing. They all left because they don't even want to defend this. But meanwhile, the speaker is rushing to the floor to pass a budget reconciliation to screw America by passing the biggest tax cut in history on the backs of the American people. WTF? Who's in charge? Because it sure doesn't look like it's the trade representative. You just got the rug pulled out from under you. I wish I could feel some empathy, but the empathy I have is for the American people whose very well-being and livelihoods are being affected. This is not a game. This is real life. I yield back.
Oh. That's what we need. That's what we need. Push them to the back. Push them to the back of the wall. Make them explain it. Make them explain it. I know, put it in my veins, as the kids would say. Oh, my Lord. That's it. That's the kind of pushback we need. Real information, real calling you on the carpet. That was good. We should share that very much. Very much. Very much. I just reposted that on Twitter. It's an Aaron Rupar tweet. So I would definitely share that one far and wide. Wow. Wow. Okay. Let me just show you some of the headlines. I know the AI thing is not turning out as I expected. I thought the AI thing was going to be more interesting, but clearly they just want to make AI do all their work. So that's what we should be expecting. Okay. Let's see. This is 15 minutes ago. All right. Let me see here. Wait, what? Okay, President Trump on Wednesday said he would pause the reciprocal tariffs for most countries for the next 90 days, backing down on his policy that had sent markets into a tailspin and threatened to upend global trade. But Mr. Trump said his break did not include China, announcing that he would instead raise tariffs on its exports from 104% that it was this morning, to 125%. After Beijing announced a new round of retaliation. Caroline Leavitt, the White House whatever, said the tariff level would be brought down to a universal 10%. Well, that is actually the first time we've heard that number too. What in the hell is going on? Caroline, what's going on? Because that's the first time I've heard the universal 10% number. I don't understand. Are we easing sanctions on Russia? Oh my God. Here we go. Asked why he decided on a pause, Jameson Greer, if you're listening. Dump says, well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy. They were getting a little bit afraid. It's because everyone told him, you better roll this back, you stupid motherfucker, because Jamie Dimon is really pissed off. That's what happened. Okay? All of a sudden, the money in this room stepped up and said, you're going to do something, motherfucker, because I'm not bleeding any more money out of my ass. Ugh. President Trump said nothing is over yet. We have added a tremendous amount of spirit from other countries. Oh, now there's more than 75 countries running to our door, seeking deals. Well, but why now? Because we just backed down. If I was a country that was rushing to do a deal and I was at a 46% tariff and right now I'm at a 10% tariff, I'm going to go like, fuck you. All right, I'll sit here and wait until you really make up your mind, you stupid cunt. That's what I would do. He added there are more than 75 countries seeking deal, acknowledged that he had been watching the bond market prior to his decision. You think? You were watching the bond market shit the bed? Is that what you were doing? Because it shit the bed this morning. Oh my God. Describing it as both very tricky and yet queasy. Yeah, I'd say I'm queasy. Now, this was interesting, I thought. Wendong Zhang, an assistant professor of applied economics and policy at Cornell, pointed out that the 125% tariff on Chinese goods would still have enormous repercussions for the American economy because, quote, many products that the U.S. imports are predominantly from China. That's right. Including 73% of all smartphones. That's 3/4 of all smartphones come through the China tariff gap. 78% of laptops. Almost 80% of laptops. 87% of video game consoles. Oh, thank God it's not Christmas, right? Am I right? Oh, the kids. And 77% of toys. Resourcing from other countries will take time and result in much higher costs. This is so fucking crazy. All right, tracking Trump's tariffs, partly in effect, paused. Look at this. And that means only these reciprocal 60 plus countries is only for 90 days. They're going to come back. And then all hell's going to break loose. We're kicking the can down the road. I wonder if he's thinking, well, no, I guess that's not 90 days. I guess it is a yippee-ki-yay. And we're the fuckers. And we already talked about goods from Canada and Mexico under USMCA. It's about 60% of goods in Mexico, maybe a little more, over 50%. Are USMCA, and about 40% of Canadian goods are USMCA. So not even all the goods are under the USMCA. So don't get it twisted. Even the Canadian and Mexican goods, while they haven't been attacked in the moment, are still not great. So there. It's worth noting. Oh my God. Oh my God. Beasley. Mrs. Beasley. Mrs. Beasley stood in front of the White House, you guys. Wait a minute. I need Beasley. She's not on here. Hold on. I got to add her. I'm on the wrong set. Where's Beasley? Where's Beasley? Come on, Beasley. There we go. Beasley stood in front of the White House an hour ago and said that the reversal on tariffs was the president's strategy, quote, all along. Let me move him so you can see what he actually said. Here, come up here, Mrs. Beasley. Oops. Come up here. Sit with me. There we go. There's Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary. That's not Mrs. Beasley. That's... That's... Come on, KFC. You have one job. No presents under the tree. Yeah, this was it all along, you guys. What the hell? Calm the F down. Now Trump himself is saying that he made the decision in response to the market turmoil. And Jameson Greer just sat there and said, what did he say? He said it was because... Wait, what did he say? I don't even know what reason bitch gave for the switch. I don't think he even gave a reason. Days ago, Trump struck a defiant tone on his tariffs, proclaiming at one point on Truth Social, "My policies will never change." Wait, where's my thing? Where's my friend? Oh, here we go. Come here. We need a name for this dinosaur, by the way. I don't know what his name is going to be. Trump said on Truth Social, what did he say? You read it. "My policies will never change. You have to be flexible," he told reporters at the White House. Other than we've talked about several. Yeah, that's true. Over the last few days, it looked pretty glum. But now it's looking great. Everybody, aren't you happy? Everybody, meet my new Treasury Secretary, Scott Beasley. La la la. La la la. Dean the Dino or Dino. Oh, hey, hey, little darling, give me a drink. Blah, blah, blah. Wait, let's see if we can do this. I know, I'm just playing right now. I'm sorry. Jameson, end of career. La, 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 la. Come on, Mrs. Beasley, take a toke. Come on, Mrs. Beasley, just have a little toke with me right now. Come on, you know you want it. Come on, you know you want a little hit. That's right, you just want a little something, something. Come on, Mrs. Beasley, give it up. Puff, puff, pass, Mrs. Beasley. Puff, puff, pass. What other news show gives you this? God damn. Oops. Nobody else has Mrs. Beasley. I think I'm going to go take a nap. All right. I think this is going to be a short one because I'm going to go take a nap. No, he needs a tiny glass of bourbon. Oh, I hope the tariffs don't hit before I get my tiny glass of bourbon. I love that Canadian bourbon. Wait, do you guys have Canadian? Do you have bourbon, Canadians? Night, night. Time to go to bed. La la la. Look, he's got a tongue too. I love this. Look at that. He has a tongue. Isn't that? No, we have Canadian bourbon. No one drinks it. Maple bourbon. Adios, Loca. That's right. Lola Loca. That's right. Maybe it'll take out Greer and Navarro. That's it. That's right. You got this? Yeah, I got this. This is the best romper room ever. Oh. Hello, is it me you're looking for? Oh, wait. I want to talk about one more thing. Oh, Jesus Christ on a cracker. Did you guys see the Hegseth thing from Panama? Oh, I am smoking more weed today. You know I am. Come on now. Come on. Butterflies, you know me better than that. Peanut butter bourbon? No. No, I won't believe it. I won't believe it. Oh yeah, Canadian rye. I want to get one of those fake glasses where it looks like you're drinking something, like those beer glasses where it like has liquid in the side, but it looks like you're drinking one. I want to get one of those for him, but like a little shot of whiskey or something. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, but I want to talk about Pete Hegseth first. Before. Wait. Oh no. Wait, it gets better. We can't go anywhere. Well, don't go anywhere. Panama. Bum, 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 bum. Panama. Panama. Bum, 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 bum. Panama. I love that. I've seen Van Halen in concert like 4 times. You realize that, right? You realize I am a total Van Halen fan. Just so you know. You need the badminton racket. Oh no, do I have that? Wait, is that mine? Oh, Romper Bumper Stomper Boo. Yeah. No, we talked about that yesterday. Gonna start making moonshine, but when are you gonna drink it, Teresa? Yes, we have Canadian bourbon. Okay, so I want to talk about Pete Hegseth. Hold on, let me get rid of Scott Bessent. And but I want to talk about Pete Hegseth. What band did he join for a while? Oh, I can't remember. I know what you're talking about, but I don't really remember. All right, let me talk about Pete Hegseth. Let's use our New York Times subscription that we have until May. And I'm sure it's got to be up here somewhere, right? 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 Nothing about what he just did in Panama? Okay, nothing, right? Okay. Oh, okay. All right. I guess it's not. Maybe it's here? I don't know. Panama? I don't know. Deportation fight. Okay. The Army Wait, what? The Army Secretary has replaced Kash Patel as the head of the ATF. Sorry, I'm sorry. Oh, actually, it's funny. You guys look just alike. But, what? The Army Secretary has replaced Kash Patel as the head of the ATF? Say what now? Although, to be precise, some Canadian microdistilleries are making bourbon to replace the Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. It's probably not a bad idea. I don't drink that. I mean, I don't drink anything anymore, but I didn't like the Rock Pigs in the 80s, but now they sound like easy listening. Yeah, that seems like a better idea, right? I mean, I guess. I don't know who this Nimrod is. Daniel Driscoll, the Army Secretary, learned over the past week that he would take over the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. The highly unusual move puts a civilian military leader in charge of a domestic law enforcement entity. White House officials decided to make the switch in late February, just after Mr. Patel was named ATF's director, because the responsibilities of running 2 agencies into the ground was seen as too time-consuming, according to an official briefed on the situation. Mr. Driscoll was selected because he was one of the few Senate-confirmed Trump appointees available to take over. Yeah, he's the head of the FBI. He's still the head of the FBI. This was 2 jobs he had, but there's too many jobs to run into the ground. Screaming posse comitatus. Posse comitatus. Is it posse comitatus, though, I think? Anyway, I was really looking for Hegseth, but of course, we're not going to talk about Panama, I guess. I don't know. Can I search for Panama? I mean, do you guys have a search thing? Okay. Panama? Panama? I don't know. Panama. Wah, 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 wah. Wait, what? Did I make up the news thing that I don't know what happened to Blake Masters. That's a good point, gal. That's right. He was up for ATF, right? Did we find something in his background that even Lindsey Graham couldn't support? Okay, well, you know what? This is terrible, but let me find out what's going on here. Okay, so what I watched, I don't know if you guys were able to catch that because they were awfully late. But the Panamanian defense minister, Ann Pete Hegseth, had a press conference about an hour ago or so. And in this press conference, I guess they were meeting about the canal and things like that. And in the press conference, Petey, they found one eye in his background. In that press conference, little Petey Hegseth, that douche whistle over there, said that the U.S. military and its affiliated ships or something like that, I didn't quite get the term, so I'd have to be checked on that those ships would have free and first passage through the Panama Canal. That was one of the tenets of the agreement reached. And how that differs from the actual agreement made in the 70s about the Panama Canal is that we always had priority for ships going through the canal because of our relationship to its construction, etc., and whatever we stole from Panama in those days. But now we're going to steal new things from Panama because now we're not even going to pay the passage on our military ships. Now, that to me seems awfully different than the agreement that was reached and seems a lot like a bold move for the Americans to do. Not only that, but there was also kind of typical pig's breath veiled references to military presence and just kind of standing in the way of malign influence on the canal, which meant China. He said China. So what I'm imagining is, similar to what we talked about, and actually, I really do. I think on this Friday, we're going to talk primarily, we'll talk about whatever's happening financially in the news, but I really want to go through, this. Hold on. Where are you? Where are you? I can't believe you are so amazing. Oh, here it is. Okay. Oops. I really want to go over. That's not it. I really want to go over. Boop. The Mar-a-Lago Accord on Friday, because I'm probably not in a brain space to do it now. But I want to talk about this because one of the things I'm really noting in this approach to global economies that our administration has, one of the things I'm struck by is that they are indeed following some of the tenets inside this document, the User's Guide to Restructuring the Global Trading System, which was written in November 2024 by Stephen Mirren, who just happens to be the head of the Economic Council of Advisors to the President. Let me say that again. The man who wrote this document in November of 2024 is now the head of the economic advisors to the president. So I have to believe that there at least are some tenets of this big old document. Yeah, exactly. My best buddy. And that are infiltrating or being manifest in these trade policies. And part of one of the disturbing tenets of this restructuring that is in this document is that we will use security, so basically our big, beautiful military, as part of the negotiation with different countries. And that smells an awful lot, a little bit like a protection racket. Like, pay us, give us access to minerals, give us whatever we want, give us use of the canal for free, and we won't take you over. That's my deeper fear here. Now, I could be totally wrong. I mean, I'm not smart when it comes to economies. I'm not an economics major. I was a Russian major. I have no idea. I did not go to grad school. So I am a little clueless, but I do know how to read. And it does seem like there is some unusual familiar themes emerging in actual tweets or policies, whichever one you want to call them. And these kind of foundational documents from some of the members of this administration. It could be a quid pro quo. It could be an extortion. Like, it'd be a shame if you fell down those stairs. You know what I'm saying? I would not put anything past this group of administration officials. And, yeah, so, I mean, I just think on Friday, I really want to kind of go deep. I want to read some of this document and understand it a little bit better. And obviously, by that time, a million things may have changed in the global economics. It said something. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you, Jane, is that's why I'm worried about this. Because when I read the Mar-a-Lago Accord, it did talk about security promises. That's why I'm taking it one step Trumpian further. And I'm saying, but what if it wasn't just about providing security promises? What if it was more about extortion? So that we could have access to the minerals and other resources that we need in order to boost our AI and our energy consumption here in this country. And in terms of country, I could very much see a world where this Panama thing is step one of that whole technate shit that Jim has talked about, where an end goal is control over land masses from the Arctic south. And bonus Jonas, this type of global restructuring of the trade system can also lead to those same types of extortive relationships that aren't necessarily in the American technate, Greenland on down, but that are anywhere in the world. Now, do I think this administration is smart enough to pull this off? No. But they certainly have stepped on their dicks as they've rolled out the closest thing to it. Yeah, we do need some spaces and stuff like that. You're right, J. Rounds. I need to get my shit together on it. Yeah, his speech actually does have nuggets. Let's actually look at that. Let's take the time and go through that because it's important. You're right. Wow. Um, oh, wait. Go to my. You already watched it. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Honorable Mr. Peter Hexet, Secretary of Defense of the United States of America. Honorable Mr. Alvin Holsley, Commander of the Southern Command, representative of the Government of Panama and the Embassy of the United States. Media, ladies and gentlemen, today, as part of the framework of the Conference of Central America, we are here to highlight again that we have sat down here that will continue during the afternoon hours because we live in an era where threats are not limited only to physical territories, but also we face transporter threats that adapt to any cities, such as criminal entities that operate in networks, cybernetic threats that are there in silence, and also security is a regional challenge, and that's the reason why we have gathered here from different representatives of Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Honduras, Panama, Colombia, precisely to talk about the shared experiences and what we can learn from each other, and at the end, continue fighting with a single strategy and a single north towards the security of our region and to the hemisphere, the American hemisphere. Exactly as the Secretary has mentioned before, we're a single continent, we're just a single America, and therefore we must be together and fight organized crime in any of the different phases that arise in our societies and our countries. Thank you.
Agradecemos por sus palabras al señor ministro de Seguridad Pública de Panamá. De igual manera, hace uso de la palabra.
Again, Honorable Pete Hexet will share his word, Secretary of State of Defense of the U.S.
Good afternoon. It's a privilege to be here in Panama. Minister Abrego, thank you for an incredibly productive visit. The same goes for our friend, President Molino. President Molino and his administration are a great ally of the United States. We are deeply grateful for the friendship of our Panamanian counterparts, your partnership and your leadership here in Panama and across the region. We face shared security challenges and common threats. Together, we will deter them by increasing our defenses and achieving peace through strength. Since President Trump was elected, our two nations have done more to strengthen cooperation in a few months than we have in decades.
Oh, is that what you call it?
President Molino, who we met with earlier, we have you to thank in large part for that as well. We're partnering closely in three areas. First, securing our borders and stopping mass illegal migration. What Panama has done in the Darien Gap is incredible. Crossings down 99% since a year ago. Second, we're countering violent cartels and criminal enterprises. And third, we're securing the Panama Canal and countering China's malign influence. The Panama Canal is key terrain that must be secured by Panama with America and not China. To that end, that is why the United States and Panama have just signed a memorandum of understanding on cooperative security activities. And will be signing, just moments after this press conference, a joint declaration with the Minister of Canal Affairs on the security and operation of the Panama Canal.
Oh, really? A
which
new
is
agreement?
a framework for U.S. warship and auxiliary ships to sail first and free through the Panama Canal. These documents reaffirm our historic ties and outline how we will deepen our relationship and strengthen bilateral canal security cooperation. It also builds on the great work started by our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and his team. This memorandum of understanding will increase joint training, exercises, operations, and overall interoperability between our two forces.
Interoperability. I know, isn't it great? It's like he's got something coming out of his
and
head.
Joint presence at Fort Sherman, Rodman Naval Station.
Here's the
and Howard
actual
Air Force
1977
Base at Fort Sherman,
neutrality
reviving
treaty, not net
the Jungle
neutrality,
School
with
alongside Panamanian forces. Our expanded security relationship will also enhance cyber cooperation, information sharing, bilateral security dialogues, and canal infrastructure improvements. These steps are going to help Panama deter and counter malign activity in the areas surrounding the canal. Our countries reaffirmed our shared commitment to protecting Panamanian sovereignty from malign influence. And we recognize the foundational importance of our constitutional governments, including respect for our neutrality treaty. We've also been working closely with the Panama Canal Authority, and we will further increase our cooperation with each other. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is one example. They were critical in building the canal over 120 years ago and have partnered closely with the Canal Authority for many years. The Canal Authority will continue to pay the Corps of Engineers for their expertise and technical support. This will help ensure the canal's long-term sustainability.
You signed a memo.
And this summer, the USNS Comfort, a naval
He was a lead singer
hospital
for Sum
ship, will visit
41.
Panama and provide medical help and deepen bilateral relationships between our service members and our people.
Pete, stop
Beyond
moving.
our important bilateral relationship with Panama, I'm proud to be here to participate in the Central America Security Conference. So thank you again, Minister Abrego.
He's wearing the same
Admiral
suit.
Halsey, Commander of U.S. Southern Command, doing a fantastic job for convening this important regional security forum. It was great to meet so many partners earlier this morning and last night and hear how we are working together,
wearing the same tie.
training together, and exercising together. In fact, right now, partnering with Panama,
Oh, wait, you moved a little.
we have 2 cruisers,
Don't move.
2 USS Coast Guard cutters,
Oh, shit, stop
F-18
moving.
fighters, a U.S. Marine Corps infantry
I know
company,
you need another
over
little
1,000
bump,
U.S.
but
troops
just stop moving.
supporting partner operations in Panama. Together with Panama,
Wait, I should
we're
just make it a
focused
little
on
bigger.
strengthening our security cooperation and countering malign influence. The security of our
Jesus
hemisphere
Christ.
is a top priority
Pete,
for
stop
the United
moving.
States Department of Defense. Our mission is simple.
On
Achieve
Wednesday, we
peace
wear
through strength
stripes.
through an America First approach. As I've said before, America First does not mean America alone. Rather,
Oh, Pete,
Putting
you are
America
endlessly
first.
entertaining.
a phrase
Just kidding.
coined by President Trump and
Die mad,
advanced
salty
in our
bitch.
interests, means making our alliances and partnerships make sense for the American people
Oh, really?
and our friends. As
Yeah,
he
fuck
says,
them.
it's common sense.
Frenchmen's.
In this region, as we put America first, we are putting the Americas first as well. We're doing this by confronting shared threats and shared challenges in this hemisphere. Starting, as President Trump has led the way, by securing our southern border, getting 100% operational control. Because border security-
We're going to stop him and play a song because we've got a special song for Jay Rance. Here we go. Ready, girl? Jay. Oh my gosh, that's too generous. You stop that. That was fun. I loved it. Good stuff. Thanks, Jay. That was very generous of you. Whoa, look at my hair. Whoa! Whoa, what happened? Panic on the disco. Panic at the disc floor. Woot woot or woof woof. It doesn't matter. Woot woot.
Is national security, and it starts at home. We're doing this by stopping illegal migration, destroying transnational cartels and gangs, and ending the era of capitulation to coercion to the communist Chinese. As I said yesterday, we are helping to take back the Panama Canal from communist Chinese influence.
Really?
Like our partners across Central America and South America, the United States wants a hemisphere that is secure, prosperous, and full of sovereign nations.
Full of vim and vigor.
This is not about globalism or foreign adventurism.
Don't move too much.
This is a golden age of clear-eyed Americanism and shared national interests. We want this to be a golden age for our countries together and for this hemisphere.
You guys too. Yeah, you guys.
want,
whatever.
In short, not only to make America great again, but to make the Americas
slogan age.
great again. And we will achieve these goals together, standing shoulder
Make
to
whiskey
shoulder
great again. Am I
with
right?
our allies and partners, with President Trump
Am I right?
leading the way. So again, I want to thank President Molino, Minister Abrego for being valued partners,
That's so slogan
and for hosting us in your beautiful country. And with that, we look
Wherever
forward to
I
your
am.
questions.
There's a couple good questions.
We appreciate the words of Secretary of Defense of the United States, Mr. Hexed.
Yes,
Thank you for your remarks. At this time, we open the floor to questions.
Trying to shoot
the
ourselves in the
media.
dick.
Right
Remember that guy that
now, we
tased
have,
himself in the
Mr.
dick on
Adolfo
J6?
Rios
Yeah, that's
from
us right
Estrella
now.
de Panama.
Buen día.
Good day.
Señor Secretario de Defensa,
Mr. Secretary of Defense, you mentioned the U.S. troops that are helping the Panamanian forces, and the memorandum talks about increasing bilateral activities. The joint announcement in English makes no mention of Panama's sovereignty over the canal.
Oh.
So the U.S. recognized Panama's sovereignty over the canal.
Yeah, it wasn't in the document.
If there are plans from the U.S. to maintain a permanent military presence in Panama beyond the current cooperation and training.
Appreciate the question. Yeah, guys. We certainly understand that the Panama Canal is in Panama.
Oh, really?
And
You understand it
protecting
belongs to them?
Panamanian sovereignty from malign influence is important.
What about us? What if we're the malign
We're
influence?
taking back the Panama Canal from Chinese influence.
Wait a minute.
That involves partnership with the United
Oh,
States.
so it's Chinese. It's
and
not
Panama.
malign.
And we're
It's
grateful
just Chinese.
that they've welcomed U.S.
We want to
troops
take advantage of
on
Panama.
Panamanian soil by invitation.
We
through
do.
Rotational joint exercises.
Vietnam.
And that's what you'll see in the Memorandum of Understanding, is an opportunity to revive, whether it's the military base, naval air station, locations where U.S. troops can work with Panamanian troops to enhance capabilities.
To do what?
And cooperate. In a
To have
rotational
pizza?
way, we welcome the opportunity
Catch
to
a
have an
movie?
increased troop presence here
Netflix and chill?
alongside the
What?
Panamanians to secure the sovereignty of the Panama Canal.
Wait, what?
Ultimately, we look forward to a long relationship with the country of Panama, and that would be in deliberation with the leadership of Panama.
Okay. So we co-own it. This is Mar-a-Lago Accord. This is like their first case scenario.
Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Minister.
This is their first case study.
Two parts, if I may. Number one, the Chinese responded quite aggressively to your trip, saying, well, accusing the U.S. of blackmail. So I thought I'd just ask you, have you blackmailed anyone? And, Minister, do you feel blackmailed at all? My second question is for the Minister about Taiwanese sovereignty. This country has ceased to recognize Taiwan since 2017. Did Taiwan come up in your conversations this week? And is that something you'll pursue again? Thank you.
Well, I don't know anything about blackmail. Appreciate the question.
You don't?
But I do know about strength.
Oh,
through
so that's
strength
like blackmail.
and deterrence.
And
You're
that's
seeing
like blackmail.
strength from President Trump with tariffs, with reciprocal tariffs, recognizing that He's willing to protect American industries and American workers from unfair trade practices that have existed for decades, and no one stood up on behalf of America. President Trump is doing that in real time right now. And at the Defense Department, whether it was our trip to the Indo-Pacific, in the Philippines, Japan, and Guam, and elsewhere, or here in the Panama Canal, and with our Panamanian partners, we're standing up to malign Chinese influence and simply saying
malign Chinese
a strong
influence.
America
That's his soundbite.
influence in our own backyard, in our hemisphere, is good for us,
Yeah,
good for our
Big Burger.
partners,
Ooh, yum, yum.
and creates opportunities for freedom in the future.
I drink that.
So
in
again,
the
this
old
is
days.
not about we want peace, we seek peace, we don't seek conflict, but we believe that conflict does not come the stronger we are. And we're happy to speak it clearly, which President Trump has always been willing to speak that clearly.
That doesn't
which
make
is
any
why
sense.
we point out here
Actions
clearly
are
the
more
malign
than words.
influence of the communist
Okay,
Chinese and their
you
attempt to
idiot.
leverage it in the Panama Canal or Panama Canal area, which does not serve Panamanian interests or American
How do you
interests. And that's something we will stand up for every day.
Bullshit.
Continuamos con las preguntas y es la
We
oportunidad
continue
del
with
periodista.
questions. Now we have Juan Jose Rodriguez
AFP.
from Media AFP.
Hola.
Good afternoon. I wanted to ask the
That's what he should do
Secretary.
at the end of it.
Yesterday, the press released and talked about an agreement for the passage of warships to not pay when they cross the Panama Canal. I wanted to ask if
Not
there
part
has
of the
been
original
an
agreement.
agreement between Panama and the U.S. to effectively waive those payments to Panama when these warships cross, or if Panama has to return that payment through purchasing materials or anything from the U.S.
I
In
wish
that
I wasn't
case,
so
if
fucking
this
brilliant
wouldn't
and beautiful.
that break the spirit of the neutrality treaties?
Appreciate the question.
I don't know what you mean.
We're calling it, and we said in our statement yesterday, first and free. First and free for U.S. and Panamanian vessels, military and auxiliary vessels.
What's auxiliary?
In partnership,
I have a question.
That's why after this we're signing
Pig's
with
breath.
the Minister of Canal Affairs.
I know, I can't.
But it is in keeping with the understanding of the Panama Constitution, with the authorities of the Panama Canal.
Really?
So we've worked directly with Panamanian leadership, with the Canal Authority, to make sure it's arranged in
to
such
blackmail
a way
them
that it is first and free
for Americans.
and is in keeping with their understanding.
What's
And that
auxiliary?
We'll be signing that framework, which is what it is today, a framework right after this press conference with the Minister of Canal Affairs. But it was important to us that
He has
in
to get his
moments
hair
of
greased from
contingency,
China.
our troops can travel first and free. We're grateful that our
You can't spell
Panamanian
canal
partners
without
are working
anal.
with us on that. Absolutely.
I love it, Carla. Oh, he's so fucked.
Good afternoon. Secretary Hegseth, did you provide assurances that the United States would not intervene militarily to take over the Panama
Do not miss
Canal,
Financial
Or
Fridays.
is that contingent on what happens with Chinese presence here in Panama? And your top general in Europe said yesterday the United States should keep its military presence on the continent as it is now. Do you agree? And are you considering relinquishing the SACEUR post to a non-American? And to Minister Abrego, would Panama accept a permanent deployment of U.S. troops or the establishment of a permanent U.S. military base on Panamanian soil? And if not, why not? Thanks.
I would just start by saying the only person that will make a determination about force structure of U.S. troops in Europe will be President Trump, the Commander-in-Chief. And we will continue to have ongoing discussions,
That seems
including
like a
inside the
terrible
context
idea.
of Ukraine-Russia negotiations, of what our force posture should be on the continent that best addresses American interests and ensures burden
Great
sharing
value,
in Europe
Patrick
as
Bateman.
well. To the question about Chinese influence, we are focused on working together with our Panamanian partners to ensure that malign Chinese influence is not allowed to take any additional hold.
What? So
and is,
they
in fact,
can't make
expelled
money from the
from the
Chinese.
Panama
That's
Canal
what
and the
I'm
Panama
hearing.
Canal area, and they've been very fruitful conversations.
They're preventing them from doing business with the Chinese.
Yes, good afternoon. Again, we want to establish or to say that Panama absolutely during this memorandum of understanding has given any sovereignty of the Panama Canal or any of the adjacent zones. Panama is within the framework of the Neutrality Treaty, and based on that part of the Constitution, the U.S. has managed himself with respect. We just heard the Secretary say that he will have a meeting with the Minister of the Canal. He already had it in the past with the administrator of the Panama Canal, searching for the correct way to not go against the Neutrality Treaty or the Panamanian Constitution. That has been established. So Panama mentioned through, or the Panama's president mentioned that we cannot accept military bases or defense bases. We are clear that we need to keep a cooperation in terms of security with the U.S. and with the U.S. military, and that's something that keeps happening. It's an ongoing exercise. It has been over 18 years that we have had ongoing exercises with the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. Army. So this is not new. We understand that based on international media and what has taken place, that it becomes a hot trend. But
no, actually, it's
maybe we want
pretty much because of what they've said.
But in this sense, our President Mulino established yesterday in his press communication and with Mr. Secretary Hexet in that private meeting he acknowledged the sovereignty of Panama over the Panama Canal, and he acknowledged that the neutrality treaty has to be respected in our Constitution as well, just as we respect the Constitution of the U.S. and their laws when we address any type of negotiation. All this has been written down in documents that will become public.
Not Canadian pineapple.
And there is nothing under the table.
No
there is
Canadian
nothing
pineapple for you.
in hiding. Everything will be out there and available for
no, it is all
anyone
out there.
who
No,
wants to
it still disturbs
read
us.
it. Thank
Defense
you.
Minister.
What the minister has said is what the media tries to do very hard is to divide us. And what we call that in the States, Mr. Minister, is fake news.
Oh, my God.
We wrap up this press conference. Thanks to everyone for joining us.
That's right. It was just 2 questions for American reporters and 2 questions for Panamanian reporters. So that's all they were. It was a short one. Wow. Yeah. So that's important. And I don't know. I mean, it could be totally normal and I'm just overreacting. You know, I'm taking a lot of things too seriously. So, you know, whatever. Yeah. How embarrassing. How shockingly embarrassing. But it does, please come for Friday's show. Holy shit. Fucked Financial Fridays is happening. And this Friday, it's going to be a barn burner. We're going to burn some barns. We're going to learn all about crazy people thinking. And I don't mean crazy nice people. I mean the bad crazy people that are evil. Some things we cannot do, like grow pineapples. That's okay. That's okay. Whatever. I don't think we do either, by the way. I mean, I don't think we grow them like in California or anything. I know we grow them in Hawaii. But I also want to read about was dozing. Was that Booker hollering? Who did he holler at? No, it was whatchamacallit. It was I don't know how to say his name. Hold on. Oh, what did I do with it? Oh, here. It was It was
Mr. Trade Representative, are you aware that the tariffs have been paused?
I'll tell you.
I am, yes.
When were you made aware of that?
Well, I understood the decision was made a few minutes ago. It's
Sitting here
under discussion.
Sitting here under discussion. So did you know that this was under
Stephen Horsford, Horsford from Nevada, 4th District. That's him. It's Stephen Horsford, and it's just brilliant.
Under discussion,
I'll take
and why
us out
did you
on
not
it.
include that
It was
as part
pretty
of your
good.
opening remarks?
So typically what I don't do is divulge
Oh,
the
Leighton,
contents
wait
of
a
my
minute. Did I
discussions.
miss
What are the
something?
details
Leighton.
of the pause?
Well, my understanding is that because so many countries have decided not to retaliate, we're going to have about 90 days.
No.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to find. What was the reason that Jameson gave that the pause happened? So Trump said it was because the market was panicking. Scott Bessent Beasley said it was because this was the plan all along. Duh. And then this guy said, what?
So many countries have decided not to retaliate, we're going to have
So many countries decided not to retaliate, so something happened that then spurred the decision to do the pause. So that wasn't what Trump said, and what Trump said wasn't what Bessent Beasley said. I can't wait to hear what Navarro says. Just kidding, I can. Yeah. Wait, what? What about Jerry's? What are you talking about? Yeah, Greer was ripped a new one. Yeah, I think it's a. Oh, who said Jerry? Yeah, I still think it's a slur, though, isn't it? I'm not. Maybe I'm wrong, but
about 90 days.
No, excuse me. We are. China increased their tariffs on the United States. Trump blinked.
What's the blink, sir?
What do you know about this pause? What are the details of it?
Well, the details,
it wasn't China.
is that
He used
China
the wrong
continues
example.
to retaliate. Other countries didn't retaliate. The president 2 or 3 days ago said we wanted to negotiate with those countries that asked for meetings. That's what we're doing.
What are the
We've had
details?
discussions.
How long is the pause? How many days? How many weeks?
I understand it's 90 days. I haven't spoken to the president since I've been
So
in
the
this
trade
hearing.
representative hasn't spoken to the president of the United States about a global reordering of trade.
Yes, I have. I've
And
just
yet
been in the
he's-
hearing with you, sir.
But yet he announced it on a tweet. WTF? Who's in charge?
The president of the United States is in charge.
And what do you know about those details?
Well, as I mentioned,
It looks like your boss just pulled the rug out from under you and paused the tariffs, the taxes on the American people. There's no strategy. You just found out 3 seconds ago, sitting here, we saw you.
we've been discussing a
If
variety
you
of these
came
actions.
here knowing that you were going to be turned off, that these tariffs were going to be turned off, why didn't you include that in your opening statement? Why didn't you reference that as part of your testimony?
Well, I don't disclose my conversations with the president.
You
sir.
had a conversation?
These were specific questions we asked you all along. What's the
Daddy's in
strategy? These are real consequences for the American people and small businesses. I had a group of small businesses in my office earlier today talking about the impacts of these tariffs on aluminum and steel. This is amateur hour, and it needs to stop. What does this even mean for your negotiating strategy? How are you in charge of negotiation if the president is tweeting about this from wherever the hell he is?
The president was elected, and he runs the trade policy, and I advise him and execute his
Who
trade
executes the trade policy?
I execute the trade
Did you
policy
know
with the president.
that this was happening?
We have been discussing all kinds of
And there's another member of the cabinet, Bessent, who just canceled coming to the Hill to avoid talking about the market because it's in turmoil. This in just days because there was no strategy, there was no plan. The president chose to take actions that he didn't even have the authority to take. He's put our economy in disarray and near collapse. We have small businesses and Americans who are concerned about their well-being, people's retirement, people's 529 accounts went down because of this administration. We have people that are planning to send their kids to college this fall. People who are retiring whose benefits have declined. Is this market manipulation?
No.
Why not? If it was a plan, if it was always the plan, how is this not market manipulation?
It's not market manipulation, sir.
Well, then what is it? Because it sure is not a strategy.
We're trying to reset the global trade system.
And
That's offshored all of our factories.
what has that done? How have you achieved any of that? But to enact enormous harm on the American people, which was our concern from the very beginning. Tariffs are a tool. It can be used in the appropriate way to protect U.S. jobs and small businesses. But that's not what this does. So if it's not market manipulation, what is it? Who's benefiting? What billionaire just got richer? And all the while, there are not even any Republicans left in this hearing. They all left because they don't even want to defend this. But meanwhile, the Speaker is rushing to the floor to pass a budget reconciliation to screw America by passing the biggest tax cut in history on the backs of the American people. WTF? Who's in charge? Because it sure doesn't look like it's the trade representative. You just got the rug pulled out from under you. I wish I could feel some empathy, but the empathy I have is for the American people whose very well-being and livelihoods are being affected. This is not a game. This is real life. I yield back.
Yeah. Thank you, Representative Horsford. Good job, Nevada. You elected a wonderful representative. God, I really do appreciate the strong voices in this. We do deserve this emotion. We need this. We need people to be eloquent and very succinct about what is happening. And that clarity is really, really, really fucking important because he seems like what he said can resonate with all kinds of different people. Jen Griffin, Jay Rance are two different people. I thought you were the same one. Well, we are all kind of alike. In a way, I guess. Oh, my God, another beautiful thing. Yeah, only on the weekends. Only on Wednesdays when we wear pink. Yes. Oh, I love you guys. Oh my God. Yikes. I'm exhausted. I know the clip, I had to end on it too because that clip is, oh, I love you guys. He's a glue gun warrior. That's right. J Rance is the glue gun warrior and mother of dear departed Hammy. Oh, we have the mother of dear departed Hammy. Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so glad everyone was able to come for Twice Baked. That really was lovely. Thank you. Yeah, Glue Gun Warriors in the house. R.I.P. beautiful Hammy. And what's Blah Blah's name on Discord? That's a great idea. We should do that quiz. Yes, he passed. He passed. He has. He has passed on to the greater. He is up there with Don't Go to the Show By, laughing their asses off at us. And saying, oh, well, I'm glad we're not there for that. Okay? Never mind. But we miss them both every day. He's in Discord and he's so cute. Yes, I do. I have Hammy here too, but he's not on this set. He's on another set. I have to bring him up. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming back. I really appreciate it. Take a break. Yeah, hell yeah. Lemons and love. Lemons and love. I will see you tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning. It's all happening here on the Lolo, Wake and Bake with Lolo. Yes, Max is parody fake on Blue Sky. I try to tag her in some things. So take a look. She's fucking hilarious. And if you're not following her on YouTube, I would follow her. I know that Max doesn't post any content or anything except for the fact that she makes community posts with some of the screen grabs from the movies that we watch. And I just think it's really amazing. I think she's really talented. And of course, the movie curation that she does for the Discord is like fucking off the hook. We're so lucky. So thanks. Yeah, follow, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much. Anita, thanks for coming. It was great to see you again in chat and see your head pop up there. Thanks for popping in. I highly encourage everyone to pop in once in a while and say howdy because I miss you guys. And it's nice to see your names in chat. So thanks for being there. All right. I will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, with lots of weed in my hand. Yeah, I know. Facts. Max Movies selections are fucking amazing. We're very lucky. All right. I love you guys. Oh, and Jen has the burb camera, the burb lady. We got all kinds of talents. I know, right? We had to private everything. All right. I love you guys. I'll see you later. Have a great Wednesday. And tell everyone that believes this stuff is any good for us to just go fuck themselves and leave it at that. Don't waste